That message I sent you about the fellow from Argentina had a question for
Oh,
you.
yes.
Unfortunately, this doesn't show me his actual name, but he says, hi, I love the channel. I'm from Argentina. I'd love to ask you if you could recommend a way to read Superman. I would love to know also which comics focus more on Clark. Is it okay if I start from 1986, or is there a closer starting point? Very interesting question.
Very interesting question. I don't know how to direct you to read comics in Argentina, but I'm glad that you're that into Superman, that you're seeking it out. As far as stuff that focuses on Clark, I think starting in 1986 is a good idea, actually, because there have been great stories all the way from the 30s up to the present where Clark has been the focus, but not for long stretches. And probably the most concentrated work anyone ever did on fleshing him out as a character that gets a lot of page time as opposed to just always Superman was probably John Byrne. When he did the reboot, he wanted Clark to really be a character. So you spend a lot of time with him, and you also spend a lot of time with him and Lois. So you get one thing I did really like the way John Byrne did it, because what he established led to the eventual wedding, led to the eventual exposing of his identity and let's get married. One of the smart things they all did after Byrne was they allowed Lois to actually fall in love with Clark. The whole thing was she, of course, always had this thing for Superman, but they kept making Clark the friend in need. He's always there. He's a good guy. She starts to see it. So he doesn't propose to her and share his secret until she's basically ready to marry him as Clark, not as Superman. So I thought that was a really smart choice. So there's great Clark stuff there. I will also recommend Superman for All Seasons. It's one of the great Superman miniseries of all time. And all it is 4 issues, and you can find it collected. It's Superman, aka Clark, as seen through the eyes of 4 different people from his youth, essentially. And so each book is a season, like spring, summer, fall, winter. And like one will be Lana Lang, remembering Clark as a young guy and da 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 and all this sort of thing. So it is really an example of people's day to day knowledge of that character, while of course Superman is still doing super stuff, and you're seeing Clark grow through it all because the last one is like in Metropolis, and I think it's Lois and that kind of thing. So it starts in Smallville and it goes from there. Highly recommended. And what was the other thing? Oh, that was where you asking about 1986. I think
Yeah.
that is a great place to start because the Man of Steel reboot was where after all those decades are like, yeah, let's start working on characterization even more. Give him a private life.
It sounds like, I'm guessing he was kind of cluing into what you've already said.
Yeah, yeah. If you were already mentioning that, you know that's a great place. I mean, you could move up, and every writer that's handled him since Byrne, depending on the writer, some of them are not great, but they do give a lot of time to Clark. I think Brian Michael Bendis, even though his run wasn't very long, and he did the very controversial thing of Superman outing himself to the entire world and saying, "I've been Clark Kent the whole time." Mm. But anyway, I think he did a fine job again because he writes character well, so you get a lot of good. He really builds Lois up. Lois becomes such a really great character, and he's a former journalist too, so he made sure the Daily Planet world was very important to the stories. So that was a good
Yeah.
thing he did. Anyway,
Cool.
thanks for listening to us,
Yeah.
and yeah, let us know if you start digging into those, what you think of those runs. And I hope the movie satisfies all of us when it comes out, and that we get as much good Clark as we get good Superman. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Even if he has big poofy hair.